All right, so in the previous video, remember, I've shown you how to see the reaction involving the synthesis of maltose. So maltose is made of 2 molecules of alpha glucose, right? And thus the covalent bond formed between these monomers is alpha 1,4 glycosidate linkage. Alpha is because it involves alpha glucose. 1,4 is because the bond is joined between carbon number 1 and carbon number 4 of the glucose, right? As for the synthesis of sucrose, right? Remember the process, both process require dehydration process where we need to remove 1 water molecule in order for the covalent bond to be formed. Okay, all right. So you can see from here for sucrose is made of alpha glucose and fructose, right? That is joined together by alpha 1 to glycosidate linkage because it involves carbon number 1 and carbon number 2, right, of fructose, right? Okay, so that is disaccharide. Okay, now we are moving into polysaccharide. So what is polysaccharide? So polysaccharide is monomers, the polymer of many monosaccharides, meaning to say the joining of monosaccharides. Glucose, maybe hundreds or thousands of glucose joined together by glycosidate linkages. Okay, the function of polysaccharide is for storage and also for building material. Apa guna polysaccharide? Ataupun bahasa Melayu polysaccharide ni kita panggil gula kompleks. Complex sugar. Right? So what is the importance of complex sugar? So first, it is important for storage. Okay. Let me explain a little bit. Storage here we are referring to the storage ataupun simpanan gula in animal and also in plants. Right? For animal, right, the storage polysaccharide ialah dalam bentuk glycogen. Okay, gula lebihan dalam haiwan ataupun manusia akan disimpan dalam bentuk glycogen. And it is stored in liver and also muscle. Okay, right. For plant, gula yang berlebihan ataupun gula dalam tumbuhan will be stored in the form of starch. Ditukar dalam bentuk kanji dan kanji ni akan disimpan dalam starch granule. Starch granule maksudnya apa? Kantong kanji. Right? Okay. Second one is polysaccharide is very important for building material or structural role untuk membentuk struktur. Struktur apa tu? So kita akan tengok dua kategori. Satu in plants and second one in animal. Okay. So for plant, the building material that we refer here is we are talking about the cellulose. Apa itu cellulose? Cellulose is the component of cell wall. Component that build the cell wall. Okay, ataupun dinding sel tumbuhan diperbuat daripada cellulose. Itu maksud dia. Okay, right. As for animal, the building material that we are referring here is we are referring to chitin, C-H-I-T-I-N. Chitin. Alright. So chitin ni apa? Chitin is building material that is needed in order to build exoskeleton. Exoskeleton atau bahasa Melayu kerangka luar. Kerangka luar siapa? Kerangka luar of animals, for example, spider contohnya. Okay, so spider dia punya kerangka dia macam kita, kerangka kita ada tulang. So kerangka dia adalah dibuat daripada chitin. Okay, right. So to build exoskeleton of insects ataupun for this one lah, like spiders. Okay, right. So we are going to see the difference, right, about the storage polysaccharide and also the building material or structural polysaccharide. Okay, right. So moving on. Okay, now let's start with starch. Okay, so starch is the storage polysaccharide, tempat simpanan gula kompleks yang berada di dalam tumbuhan. Okay, so starch is made of joining of many alpha glucose. Right? So dia adalah dihasil daripada gabungan alpha glucose that is joined by alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage. So ikatan yang terbentuk alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage. So contoh ni satu gula, ni satu, gabung lagi dengan another. Nampak? Contoh, gabung lagi. Gabung lagi. Right? So ikatan ni kita panggil alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage. Okay. Starch has two form. Okay. Starch ni ada dua bentuk. Untuk struktur dia. There are two form of starch. Number one is amylose. Number two is amylopectin. Okay. Amylose. Macam mana bentuk amylose? Amylose is unbranched and form a helix. Bentuk dia tidak bercabang. Tidak bercabang. Okay, tidak bercabang. Whereby amylopectin sifat dia branching. Dia bercabang-cabang and it is more complex. Okay, bercabang-cabang dan sangat complex. Okay, right. Let's see here. Okay. Plant store surplus glucose. Surplus means lebihan glucose within the starch granule. So ini yang putih-putih ini adalah kantung starch. Kantung kanji that storing the excess or surplus sugar in the form of amylose and also or amylopectin. Alright, okay. So you can see here, ini bentuk amylose. Ini bentuk amylopectin. Okay. So nampak tak kat sini? This is one glucose, this is another glucose, this is another glucose, and so on. So all the glucose are joined together and form a shape like helix. Bentuk dia macam helix. Okay, macam berlengkar-lengkar macam tu. Ataupun macam ni. Kita nampak dia macam ni. Alright, so helix structure. So ini yang kita panggil helix. Okay, right. Whereby, and you can see that it is unbranched. Dia tidak bercabang. Okay, dia straight aja. Cuma dia membentuk lingkaran seperti itu. Alright, okay. As for amylopectin, okay, you can see here amylopectin, sifat dia apa tadi? It is branch and complex. Dia bercabang. Nampak tak kat sini? Dia linear. Bercabang kat sini, bercabang kat sini. So you can see here, dia ada bercabang. So bila dia ada bercabang, menunjukkan dia membentuk satu ikatan yang baru. Okay? So meaning to say here, if we are talking about amylose, ingat je, amylose dia linear. So bila linear, gula 1 gabung dengan gula 2, gabung dengan gula 3, gabung dengan gula 4 and so on. So ikatan yang terbentuk kat sini hanya satu jenis ikatan saja, iaitu alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage. Alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage. Satu jenis ikatan sahaja. While for amylopectin, since it is branching, dia linear, bercabang. So bila dia bercabang, dia membentuk ada ikatan yang baru. So meaning to say, amylopectin has two different type of bonds. Satu, okay, tengok ni Dia linear, and then dia cabang. Right, so sini gula, sini monomer, sini monomer. So ni glucose, this one is glucose. So kat sini ikatan apa? Antara glucose dengan glucose yang secara melintang tu. This is alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage. Right. So yang dekat bercabang ni dia bentuk ikatan apa? Yang tempat dia bercabang dia akan membentuk ikatan alpha 1,6 glycosidic linkage. Alpha 1,6 glycosidic linkage. Kenapa 1,6? Sebab dia melibatkan carbon number 1 dengan carbon number 6. Okay? Right? So ingat beza tu. Amylose and amylopectin. Alright? So to be easy, you make your own table here and put the comparison between amylose and amylopectin. In terms of apa tadi? Satu in terms of structure. Amylose structure dia macam mana? Unbranched. Okay. Amylopectin macam mana structure dia? Branch. Alright. Number 2 is in term of apa nak bezakan? In term of covalent bond that is formed. Ataupun nak buatlah bond contohnya. Ikatan. So amylose ikatan apa yang ada? Satu jenis sahaja. Alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage. Amylopectin ikatan apa yang ada? Alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage and alpha 1,6 glycosidic linkage. Okay. So lengkapkan kotak tu nanti. Right? Okay. Next. Okay, so that is starch. Ingat starch is a storage polysaccharide in plants. Ada dua bentuk, amylose or amylopectin. Okay, now let's see the storage polysaccharide in animal. Nama dia kita panggil glycogen. So glycogen is a storage polysaccharide in animal. So the storage ataupun the excess sugar or polysaccharide will be stored in the liver or in the muscle. Simpan dalam liver ataupun muscle. So bentuk glycogen ni macam mana? Bentuk dia is somehow like amylopectin. Macam mana amylopectin tadi? Bentuk dia? It is branch and complex. So glycogen structure is like amylopectin, but it is more extensively branch. Apa maksud more extensively branch? Lagi banyak cabang. Kejap-kejap bercabang. Kejap-kejap bercabang. Kejap-kejap bercabang. Okay? So that is extensively branch. Contoh macam ni. Nampak tak? So you can see here, linear, pak cabang. Linear, pak cabang. Right? Linear sikit, pak cabang. Right? Okay. So how many bonds that you can see from here? Berapa jenis ikatan? How many types of bond that you can see from here? Jawapan dia ialah 2. Very good. Sebab dia bentuk macam amylopectin. So meaning to say dia ada 2 jenis ikatan iaitu antara alpha glucose and alpha glucose over here yang secara melintang. This is alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage. Right? And also, yang dekat tempat berlakunya bercabang tu is alpha 1,6 glycosidic linkage. Alright? Okay, so that is the difference between starch and glycogen. Okay, persamaan dia apa? What is the similarity between starch and glycogen? Persamaan. Both of them are made of. What is the similarity? Both starch and glycogen is made of or composed of alpha glucose. Kedua-dua mereka dihasilkan daripada basic yang sama, iaitu alpha glucose. Right? So that is similarity between starch and also glycogen. Okay? Right, settle. So this is structure that to show you how it become branch. Macam mana branch tu terbentuk? Inilah dia yang Madam cakap tadi. So you can see this is, let's say, glucose number 1, this is glucose 2, this is glucose 3, this is glucose 4, this is glucose number 5. So glucose 1, glucose 2, glucose 3, and glucose 4 are joined together by which bond? It is joined by alpha 1,4, alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage. Glycosidic linkage. Right? So what about this one? Glucose number 3 dengan glucose number 5. How they are joined together? You can see glucose number 5 ni dekat atas, and this is carbon number 1. And glucose number 3 ni, you can see this is carbon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So nampak tak ni carbon number 6. So the glycosidic bond is formed between carbon number 1 and carbon number 6. Alright, madam, saya kena hafal ke nak lukis bentuk ni, ikatan ni apa semua? Tak payah hafal. Yang penting you tahu macam mana dia terbentuk. Antara carbon mana dengan carbon mana. Okay, that is more important. Right? Okay. So, remember, these are the two different branch. These are two different glycosidic linkage lah. Alpha 1,4 and also alpha 1,6 glycosidic linkage. Right? Okay. Finish with storage polysaccharide. So, untuk kompleks sugar jenis pertama, yang untuk simpanan, kita dah tengok starch and glycogen. Okay, now let's see for structural polysaccharide. Okay, alright. Remember tadi structural polysaccharide ada berapa? Ada 2 kan? Cellulose for the plant and chitin for animal. So now let's see cellulose first. Okay. So this is cellulose. Ingat, what is cellulose? Cellulose is the major component of the plant cell wall untuk membentuk dinding plant cell. Okay, right. So the structure of cellulose is linear or straight structure. So bentuk cellulose ni sebenarnya linear, straight aja. Right? And it is made of, cellulose is made of beta glucose. Maknanya bahan asas untuk menghasilkan cellulose ialah beta glucose. Beta glucose. Okay, right. And thus it form the covalent bond, right? The monomers, maksudnya beta glucose gabung beta glucose gabung beta glucose gabung beta glucose, dia akan membentuk beta 1,4 glycosidic linkage. Kenapa beta? Because it involve beta glucose. Kenapa 1,4? Because it involve carbon number 1 and carbon number 4. Okay, alright. Okay, now let's see here. This is 1 beta glucose. This is another beta glucose number 2. This is beta glucose number 2. This is beta glucose number 3. This is beta glucose number 4. Alright. Okay, so you can see here that, nampak tengok betul-betul. Ingat, kalau beta glucose, OH dekat atas ke OH dekat bawah? Carbon number 1, OH dekat atas. So ini carbon number 1. So OH dia asal usul dia dekat atas, tapi dah tak nampak, kita dah buang air dia. So dah nampak ikatan je. Right, this is carbon number 2, this is carbon number 3, carbon number 4, carbon number 5, carbon number 6. And this is another beta glucose, carbon number 1, carbon number 2, carbon number 3, carbon number 4, carbon number 5, carbon number 6. Okay, right. Okay. So you can see here, madam macam keliru lah madam. Macam mana nak tahu yang dia ni tak sama macam amylose, sebab dia pun straight. Tapi macam mana kita nak tengok? Ini adalah cellulose atau ini adalah starch. Amylose structure. Right. Okay, tengok betul-betul Madam highlightkan. Okay. Perasan tak? Tengok ikatan dia ni. Nampak ikatan ni? Nampak ikatan ni? Nampak ikatan ni. Okay. Kalau kita nampak ikatan tu, you all nampak tengok bentuk dalam gambar. In case keluar dalam exam, you nampak gambar ikatan tu selang-seli. Atas, lepas tu yang sebelah tadi, bawah. Lepas tu sebelah tadi, atas balik. Sebelah lagi, bawah balik. Kalau you nampak zigzag macam tu, this one is cellulose. Okay, that one is cellulose. Nampak tak ni atas, ni bawah, ni atas. Ikatan tu macam zigzag. Alright, so this one is showing you that beta glucose is joined to another beta glucose, joined to another beta glucose, and forming beta 1,4 glycosidic linkage. Beta 1,4 glycosidic, glycosidic linkage. Alright, okay, tak percaya. Okay, kita tengok balik. Okay, this is the structure of cellulose. Now let's look at back to the structure of amylose. Okay, tengok balik amylose punya structure. Nampak tak ni? Dah padam Okay, you can see that it is linear. This is one glucose. This is one glucose. This is another glucose. This is another glucose. Okay, sekejap. Ataupun lagi senang, tengok kat sini. Okay, contoh macam ni. Tengok macam ni je cukup. This is alpha glucose. This is alpha glucose. You just imagine alpha glucose ni. Alpha glucose, alpha glucose, alpha glucose, alpha glucose. Ada lagi 20, 30 lagi. You can see that all the what you call it? The linkage semua menghadap ke bawah. Semua ke bawah, ke bawah, ke bawah, ke bawah. So ini adalah starch. Okay, ataupun jap. Takut you keliru kan? Okay, sekejap. Madam lukis Okay, dia contoh macam ni. Right? This is alpha glucose. This is another alpha glucose. So ikatan dia ke bawah. This is another alpha glucose. So kita nampak ikatan dia ke bawah. So this is all alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage. Nampak tak? Kalau yang tadi tu, kalau untuk cellulose, okay, this is for starch. Okay, for cellulose, you will see something like this. Okay, ni. Okay, beta glucose, sorry, this one is beta. This is beta glucose. Okay, this is another beta glucose. Okay, ikatan dia dekat bawah. Okay, and this is another beta glucose. You akan nampak ikatan dia ke atas macam ni. This is another beta glucose. Ikatan dia ke bawah. Nampak tak? Dia zigzag. Bawah, atas. Bawah, atas. So, ini semua adalah ikatan beta 1,4 glycosidic linkage. Beta 1,4 glycosidic linkage. Okay? So, this is starch. This is cellulose. Okay? Right. Okay. So, remember, cellulose is made of beta glucose and joined by beta 1,4 glycosidic linkage. Okay. All right. So, next, still about cellulose. Hydrogen atom on one strand can form hydrogen bond with hydroxyl group on the other strand. Cellulose bentuk dia seperti macam berbenang. Straight aja. So, ini satu rantaian, ini satu rantaian, ini satu rantaian. Cellulose. Alright. So, what happened is, hydrogen bond dekat satu strand can make, hydrogen atom of one strand can make hydrogen bond to OH group on the other strand. So, terbentuklah ada ikatan yang lemah kat sini, kita panggil hydrogen bond. Alright. So, the plant cell wall parallel cellulose molecule is held together into a microfibril. So ikatan ni menyebabkan sel wall tu jadi sangat kuat sebab dia jadi macam satu bundle yang sangat tebal, right, dan sangat utuh, right, very very strong. So forming microfibril. So that's why cellulose is very good to build ataupun to become a strong building material for plants. Okay, like this one. Okay. So this is one, nampak ni this is one strand, this is one strand. So if you zoom in into the strand, you nampak tak kat sini, these are all beta glucose, beta glucose, beta glucose. Kan? Perasan tak ikatan dia? Cuba tengok balik ikatan dia. Nampak tak? Ini atas, ini bawah, ini atas, ini bawah. So these are all beta 1,4 glycosidic linkage. So hydrogen atom from one strand can make hydrogen bond to another strand. So ini yang kita panggil sebagai ikatan hydrogen bond. Right? So dia mengikat satu strand dengan strand yang lain and become a very strong microfibril. Okay, right. So in other words, for cellulose, kita boleh nampak they are not only having beta 1,4 glycosidic linkage, cellulose also have another ikatan, another bond that we call as hydrogen bond for cellulose. Okay, right. So make some notes over here. Right, cellulose bukan sahaja for cellulose, right? It has beta 1,4 glycosidic linkage, and also it has hydrogen bond to join one strand to another strand. Okay, right. Okay. Next, you can see here why bila cellulose is very strong. That's why cellulose fiber is difficult to be digested. Contoh, bila kita makan sayur. Bila kita makan sayur, contoh jagung lah paling senang kan. Kita makan jagung, bila kita buang air besar, yang keluar pun masih lagi dalam bentuk jagung. Kenapa? Cell wall tu susah dicernakan. Alright, sama juga macam contoh kalau kita makan kangkung ke, kita makan bayam ke kan. Somehow bila kita buang air besar, dia akan macam keluar sayur dalam bentuk sayur. Kan? Perasan tak? Okay, alright. So, enzyme that hydrolyze starch cannot hydrolyze the beta linkage in cellulose. So, bila kita makan nasi, beras beras ialah kanji. So, enzim yang memecahkan ataupun mencernakan kanji tak boleh mencernakan beta linkage of cellulose. That's why bila kita makan bernasi, kan, tak adalah dia keluar jadi nasi balik kan, sebab dia dah dicernakan. Tapi kalau kita makan like macam haiwan ke, kalau kita tengok dia makan apa, dia akan keluarkan balik. Right, macam musang kan, dia makan biji apa tah, dia keluarkan balik biji kopi tu, macam tu. Right, okay. Cellulose in human food is eliminated in feces as insoluble fiber. So cellulose yang kita makan akan dikeluarkan dalam feces sebagai fiber yang insoluble, tidak terlarut. Okay. But for ruminant, contoh haiwan-haiwan yang macam lembu, arnab, kan, so cow, goat, rabbits and whatnot. So in their stomach, right, they have microorganism that use cellulase enzyme, meaning to say they have enzyme in their stomach, and the enzyme known as cellulase. So this cellulase enzyme can help to digest cellulose. Sebab tu lembu kalau dia makan rumput, yang keluar balik bukan dalam bentuk rumput yang seketul-seketul tu, dia dah hancur. Nah, kan, dia dah hancur. So that is because cellulase enzyme in the ruminant stomach help to digest cellulose. Alright. Okay, some fungi, sesetengah kulat juga, right, can digest cellulose. Okay, contohnya mushroom yang ada dekat pokok. So dia pun kadang-kadang tolong mencernakan, digestkan how to say, pokok-pokok mati itu kan. So some fungi also can digest cellulose. So ini bentuk cellulitic microbe in the stomach of ruminant that helps to secrete cellulase enzyme. Okay, nama enzyme tu cellulase ya. Ni nama enzyme. Right, to digest cellulose. Okay, alright. Next one, the second one, structural polysaccharide is chitin. Okay, so chitin is structural polysaccharide in animal. For example, arthropods. Contoh arthropod tadi, Mida bagi tahu contoh apa tadi? Spiders kan? Spiders ke, insects ke, semut ke, kerengga ke, itu semua arthropods. Okay, so chitin is a glucose monomer, right? It also made of glucose. What type of glucose? Alpha ke beta? Beta. It is made of beta glucose, but it has nitrogen containing appendage. Dia mempunyai bahan tambahan ataupun struktur tambahan yang mengandungi nitrogen. So we call as nitrogen containing appendage. Okay, look at here, this picture. This is beta glucose, one beta glucose. This is carbon number. This is okay, this is carbon number 1, carbon number 2, carbon number 3, carbon number 4, carbon number 5, carbon number 6. So, dekat carbon number 1 ni, asal usulnya ada OH dekat atas. Dia adalah beta glucose. But you can see they have nitrogen containing appendage. Ini yang kita panggil nitrogen containing appendage. Sebab apa? Ada satu struktur yang terikat bersama dengan glukos yang mengandungi nitrogen. Okay, alright. So kalau nampak je gambar ni, confirm ini adalah chitin, bukan cellulose. Because cellulose do not have nitrogen containing appendage. Faham Walaupun orang nampak tak ikatan dia? Beta 1,4 glycosidic linkage atas, lepas tu ni nampak kat bawah, dia zigzag. Macam cellulose. Tapi kalau nampak je structure ni, ada nitrogen containing appendage, that is referred to chitin. Okay, alright. Pure chitin is leathery. Sifat chitin yang sebenar dia adalah leathery. Lembut, berbulu-bulu, something like that. But it is hardened by addition of calcium carbonate. Dan dia keras disebabkan oleh penambahan calcium carbonate. Okay, right. So, chitin is very good to make the exoskeleton, kerangka luar kepada arthropods. Right? It can also become the cell wall of many fungi, membentuk dinding sel kepada fungi. Contoh fungi ialah mushroom, kulat-kulat, contohnya mushroom. Okay. Right? And also, chitin also can be used to make surgical threads. Dia boleh digunakan untuk menghasilkan benang operation tu. Sebab benang tu dia akan larut kan nanti kemudian. Betul tak? Right. So, this is chitin. Okay? Right. So, now we have finished with, how to say? We are finished with polysaccharide. Okay? Right. So, to make conclusion, okay, kita nak buat sikit table of conclusion. Okay. Alright. Okay. So, a table to differentiate. Okay. Storage, polysaccharide, and structural polysaccharide. Okay, tak jadi. Okay, kita buat table of comparison to compare between starch, glycogen, cellulose, and also chitin. Okay, first, we take the basic one, monomer. Apa bahan asas dia? Monomer. Okay, what is the monomer? Starch, the monomer is alpha glucose. Okay, glycogen, the monomer is alpha glucose. Okay, cellulose, the monomer is, bahan asas dia, nak bentuk dia adalah beta glucose. Okay, chitin, beta glucose plus, apa tadi? Nitrogen containing appendage. Nitrogen containing appendage. Okay, right. Okay, second one. Okay, second one is we are going to look at the covalent bond. Okay, covalent bond. So for starch, what are the covalent bond found in starch? So apa dia? Alpha. Okay. Alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage. Okay, alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage is for amylose. Sebab starch ada dua bentuk kan, amylose dengan amylopectin. Okay, so kalau amylopectin macam mana pula? Alpha 1,4. Madam malas tulis penuh, awak kena tulis penuh. Glycosidic linkage and alpha 1,6 glycosidic linkage. Kan tulis penuh glycosidic linkage tu. This is for amylopectin. This is for amylopectin. Okay, right. Glucose pula macam mana? Glycogen pula apa jenis ikatan dia? So, madam nak awak lengkapkan. Nanti kita akan bincang dalam kelas, alright? Or if I madam terlupa, please remind me to discuss you with this. Okay, despite monomer, covalent bond, apa lagi kita nak? Structure. Structure, bentuk dia macam mana? And last one is function. Function. Okay, so complete this table. Alright, so we will discuss in the next class. So as for now, we are finished with carbohydrate. Habis lengkap. Kita dah bincang monosaccharide, disaccharide, and polysaccharide. So in the next one, we are moving into lipid. Okay, lipid and protein, inshallah. Alright, so thank you very much. See you in the next video.